Hi, it's Lise here, your crazy teacher. I wanted to create a video for you to help you better navigate D2L and to better find the things that I want you to find that will help you get all the information that you need for this completely online class. I know how complicated that can be. So knowing where to look on D2L for news and assignments and discussions and your grades, I think that will be extra helpful to some of you all who are not as accustomed to online courses. And I usually have a little bit of a mix. Folks who have had a number of classes online, and of course it's different with every teacher, and some folks who have not had any online classes before. So I'm trying to help smooth out that transition and get everybody on the same playing field. So if you are going to go to D2L, you know that you can get there on our homepage. And there's Dr. Zembauer, who's looking really great on our homepage right now. But you can just click D2L up at the top next to Gold Link and Gold Mail and all that good stuff. And hopefully it will go there for you. Even we old folks and teachers have to put in our passwords. So once you are in there, you want to go to our particular class. And actually, I think I'm going to back up and go to a previous semester's class so you can see more of especially the news section. What should pop up first for you is the news section. If it does not, you can check your news by going under communication and going to that section. In the news section, I will post, and I leave things up in the news section so that you can go back and see what you might have missed. I delete every now and then, but only the things that are extremely passé, like if it snows or if there's some kind of special emergency sort of thing, I may delete it after a bit. But the first thing you'll see in the new semester is going to be a welcome. I will then post under news a lot of things that I also send you by email. And it's very important in an online class of any kind, but especially in my online classes, that you check your email at least every day, because there may be a couple days or more in a row when I send you all emails that may clarify things or apprise you of something that I've just done that I want you to know about. That is, it is important that you know quickly. I often repost it in the news section. I also post team assignments in the news section, and then just as you see here, sometimes breaking news, things that are just happening that you need to know about. So please check the news section, I would say every day for this class if you possibly can. If not, several times a week. Now, the main section that you will use for this class, and I'm sure for other online classes as well, is the content section. And it holds each week's information starting with the syllabus. I will post the syllabus, or will have posted the syllabus when you see this, under a section called syllabus. And so I hope that you can't miss it. But the syllabus is not the end-all be-all in a D2L class. I use them much more in on-ground classes as a day-to-day kind of this is exactly what I'm going to do on this day, this is exactly what I'm going to do on the next day. But in an online class, I use this whole section over on the left-hand side where it says week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, etc., all the way through week 14 and 15. I use that as your day-to-day guide of how to navigate this class and navigate it well. So you want to be sure that rather than using the syllabus, it's just kind of an overview of what we're going to do in the class. And certainly it has in it, information about grading and how many assignments you're going to have per week, et cetera, your textbooks. But this section, this left-hand section, under content is going to be really crucial for you in using D2L and being able to find what you need to in this class. So let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit because that's very, very important, knowing where to click and what you can see once you've clicked. So syllabus, I think, will be pretty obvious. It's set up just like an outline underneath the syllabus section. I've got a grading section. I've got the syllabus itself. I've got a separate bit of information on the texts themselves. And what you will see as I click through these is sometimes I will also type in notes about the files that I've posted under content. And the only way you can see my notes to you is to actually click on each item in this left-hand column where it says syllabus, week 2, week 3, week 4, etc. If you do not actually literally click on each item over here in the left-hand column, then you cannot actually read all my notes, and you'll be missing some very important information. I also type in a message to you at the beginning of every week. Please read those messages. I give you a complete overview of the entire week there and some very important details on how to navigate that week. Sorry to use the word navigate so much, but it's really great internet word, isn't it? So please be sure and read the note to you at the beginning of every week, and then click, let's say we're going to check week 1. Click in that left-hand week 1 spot, and then you'll actually see any notes to you that I might have typed to you. If you'll look under week 1, I've got, in this case, a video on persuasion, and I've typed in some notes to you about it. There'll be more and more notes. If you see under week 3, I've got a bunch of information at the beginning, and then assignments for week 3. Only if I click on assignments week 3 in that left-hand column on D2L, only if I actually click there will you get the notes that I've written about each assignment for week 3. So clicking each section in that left-hand column will reveal to you additional notes that I've typed in about each of the files that I post. And as we get deeper into these assignments during the semester, I'll type you more notes. I mean, I'm not going to type you a tome because within the assignment itself, I try to be extremely detailed and often give you step-by-step information. When you go to your assignments to click on them and to open them up, I highly recommend that you not only look at them on D2L, but that you also download them onto your desktop wherever you want to download them, but download them so that you can refer to them and go back to them without getting back on D2L necessarily. I continue to see or discern that students in my online, especially AdCopy class, because it's very complicated and it's writing intensive, I suspect that from the assignments that I'm getting back, that students are not reading their assignments very closely. As I said, I try to give you step-by-step information on how to actually undertake each assignment, sometimes numbering the things that you need to do. Do this first, do this second, do this third, do this fourth, fifth. This is how you finish it, and then give you some notes and hints at the bottom. So reading these assignment files, and they're all in Microsoft Word with some PDFs attached, really reading these assignments, maybe reading through them a couple times, is very important. You don't want to miss any details that will affect your final grade. You want to be sure that you get all the things that you need to include in your assignment in there. I sometimes get half of an assignment because someone only read apparently part of the actual assignment file. So go deeply into those, and I do recommend that you download them. I recommend that you download the videos too, and or go to my playlist to actually access those videos. Because if you ever have a problem, I will post my playlist early on in the semester for you, so that all you have to do is bookmark my playlist, and you can go there and find your videos if there's any trouble with the way they actually stream from D2L, or if somehow a link has gotten broken, you can always go to my playlist, and I will put that on D2L very early on in the semester so that you can get to my playlist anytime. So there will often be, in addition to video for each week, there's always video. So for instance, under week 2, here's a PowerPoint. Here's another PowerPoint. Here's a video conversation with Heather Lorendo. So there will be numerous videos, and I'll put that in one section. And then I'll put assignments in another section. And then I'll give you additional information or additional files in another section. And sometimes there may be a fourth section, but I'll try to identify those sections for you. And these additional files are very important. Reading your textbook is very important. And as you can see, I'll say required reading of chapter 2. And I give you the pages in your text. So the first thing that you'll want to do for each week is to read on D2L all my information, and then read your assignments, and then go and read your textbook information. Then once you've read the textbook, then you want to watch the videos or watch the PowerPoints, and then take notes on them just as you would in an on-ground class. Then use that information that you've learned from the videos and the PowerPoints and from reading in your text to actually accomplish the assignments. I can tell when students have not looked at the videos or read the videos, and I'll remind them in my notes to them and feedback on their assignments. Well, you might want to go back to this video and watch it again. You might want to go back to this PowerPoint and go through it again. Or you might want to look at this particular collateral handout that I've posted, because it explains everything in detail. You'll find that especially when we get into creative briefs. I have a very detailed handout on creative briefs that is in addition to a video, and it's in addition to other materials. But that handout is crucial, and I remind you of that when we get there on D2L. So don't ignore the handouts. I know you'd probably like to skip some things, but if you can look at them, I think that it will enhance your learning experience and your understanding of what you need to do to complete your assignments in the best possible way. So, as I said, each week has video lectures. It often has PowerPoints. It has assignments. Almost every week we'll have 2 assignments. Every now and then I'll go easy on you and you'll have 1 assignment. But it is a writing intensive class, so I am required to have a certain number of assignments for you, and also to meet the learning outcomes for this class. There are certain things that have to be covered. So I know it's going to seem like a lot. Here's that very important creative brief with notes extra handout and format that when I post a format on D2L, it is really important for you to actually read those formats and use those formats to create copy for this class. And if I want to see the teacher's notes for that, I'll click here in this left-hand column, and here are my notes about each of those files. So remember to click in that left-hand column through everything so that you can read all the detailed notes. So you'll go through week 5. Here's all the good stuff, good writing tips, creative brief examples, and I'll give you some maybe very basic notes on that. We will write all the way through the semester, all the way down to finals week. I will still be posting materials for you on finals week and notes. So do not assume that once we get close to finals week that I am not posting. I will also be sending you reminders by email, so remember to check your email. If you want to check your grades along the way, and I highly recommend that you do that, not just one grade at a time, you can go to grades and look and see all your grades. Now, the final calculated grade that it shows you will be based on how many assignments you've finished toward the 20 overall. But so it'll look crazy to you. But each specific grade should be accurate. And if you see one where I'm missing a grade, you're missing a grade, contact me and say, hey, did you miss my assignment? I did send you or submit an assignment 14 to the 14 Dropbox. Can you please check that for me? And then I can go and check it. Because part of the responsibility for your grades is yours as well as mine. So stay on top of your grades. And if you think I've missed one, let me know about that. Also under evaluation, there are discussions. You can also get there under communication. And we will have 6 or 7 discussions during the semester. And so under communication, click discussions, and it'll take you to what they call the discussion board. I do expect you all to post, and you have to post generally to be able to comment. But I check and see how many people's posts you comment on and the depth of your comments. And then you get a grade for your discussions. So don't forget the discussions. It is important to do the assignments, but the discussions are a grade as well. You'll also see under communication, again, that you can get to the news section. You can also go to our class list. And that can be helpful to you to seek out if you want to do study groups or run some of your materials by other people. I think getting feedback is really important. That's also under course tools. You can go to the class list there. And you can also send people emails through that class list, including me. So that is the scoop on D2L. Remember, and I hate to beat this dead horse, cliche intended in this case, But please be sure that you are clicking through D2L week by week, and that you're clicking through that left-hand navigation over here, item by item, so that you can read my extra notes that clue you in as to what these assignments are about and which ones are most important. And sometimes I'll have a little joke in there for you, not because I'm a jokester or anything. I'm very serious about good writing, but we'll try to have fun while we're doing that. But it's super important for you to read those notes and click in that left-hand column on each section so you can see my notes. See, tips for writers. If you don't read any of these handouts but one, read this one. It has every important facet of writing. That is, I'm going to clue you in. I'm going to give you hints all the way through. I'll be very blatant about it. I don't fly under the radar. I don't try to be secretive. I am a communicator. You are in a communication class. So it is my job to help communicate to you. That's why I'm explaining D2L to you today, and why I type my fingers off to give you information about each of the assignments that I post, about each of the weeks, about each of the videos that I create for you and then post. If you have any questions, give me a shout. If you are on campus and want to stop by my office in 204B Gilbreth, set up a time to come by. If you're confused about D2L, I will go through it with you in person. I hope this video helps you. I hope it helps you succeed even more extremely and wonderfully in this class than you would have anyway. Hope it hasn't bored you too terribly. Please don't assume that you know D2L so well and then perhaps miss a note that's pretty important. But again, just contact me whenever you need help. I hope this has helped you just a little bit, and I'll see you on D2L.